two, one, zero.
Real people, real issues, real life. Talk Recovery Radio. Live from the heart of the downtown east side, it's Talk Recovery Radio with Giuseppe Ganci and Darren Gaylor on Vancouver's Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM. From the streets to the studio, bringing you addiction recovery stories from real people with lived experience and real experts on today's issues. Tune in live every Thursday, noon to... Real people, real issues, real life. Talk Recovery Radio.
And good afternoon, Vancouver. Hello, hello. This is Giuseppe Ganci, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Darren Gaylor. Hello, Darren.
Hello. Yeah. Good afternoon, Vancouver, and all across Canada.
Yes, all across Canada and the United States. Yeah.
Yeah. Everywhere. If you're checking us out.
We've been getting emails from people from across the country and including the US. So thanks for listening. 8 years of shows. Thousands of listeners, hundreds of guests. So thank you very much to all of those. You know what? We're on Zoom and Facebook Live right now because the studio's still closed, but I think we're pretty close. So I've said this a few times, a post-COVID world. So I think the studio is going to be opening pretty soon, where we can get back to our roots in the downtown east side, bringing a little bit of recovery to Main and Hastings here in Vancouver.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. Get me out of my house.
Yes. So, we just like to start the show off with some hot topics. And oh boy, Darren, what is going on? It's hot. Yes. A select special committee has been created in the province of Alberta to examine safe supply. So basically, and I hope I got this right, but Canada, the federal government is really pushing provinces to do safe supply everywhere. They've funded, this is Liberals, they've funded millions upon millions upon millions of dollars to safe supply projects through the SUAP grants and some other grants. You even put the word recovery in a SUAP grant and you're not going to get any money. You put safe supply heroin, smoke inhalation rooms. I don't know, you make something up that is friendly to drug use, you get a check. 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, 10 million. And so this is kind of forcing, the federal government is forcing healthcare in provinces. And those that know how Canada is made up, provinces make decisions on healthcare within their provinces. But when you have all this money coming in from the top, from the feds, they kind of take over healthcare in your province. And there's been lots of meetings behind closed doors between the Minister of Mental Health and Addictions and the new one and the Minister of Health in Ottawa, kind of telling, ministers of mental health and addictions in provinces what to do, and a lot of gray area. Long story short, so you want us to do safe supply, where's the evidence? And so for the last 3 days, today was the last day, there's been these hearings in Alberta examining the evidence. And so one side, sadly, this is political, but I think it has to be because it's millions of dollars. So the NDP do not go to the hearings because the NDP wants safe supply in the province of Alberta. And they're saying that they don't, this hearing is not legit because Alberta conservatives have brought on all these doctors to talk about the evidence of safe supply. And it's funny. It's well, why don't you bring a bunch of doctors? So I was listening and I got to tell you, man, I know we're not allowed to swear, but man, it is FCKED. I don't know. I'm not smart, man. I'm really not that smart, but there's everyone makes everything look the way they want it to look. And when you listen to these doctors talk, you kind of get this punch in the stomach, oh my God, we've been lied to. These expert doctors that have been in the field for so long are hey, we cannot just tell somebody take drugs because you're not going to recover. And really, I'll get attacked for saying that, but really that's what we're doing when these doctors get patients coming to them saying, get me out of this mess. It's just, even Dr. Tyndall's been quoted that recovery is not the goal of Safe Supply. The man who created the vending machines in the downtown east side quoted, recovery is not the goal. But when you read CBC or other newsletters, it's like, no, it's a gateway, a pathway to healthcare systems. I mean, we're finally at a place that's like, hey man, there's 2,000 dead people. Like, why aren't there hundreds of treatment centers? And you know what the other proponents say? Treatment's not for everybody. We need to just keep people alive. So these doctors are like stuck here. What is healthcare? So if you want to actually hear somebody smart to talk about this, I say you listen to the archived videos. It's definitely going to shake up what's going on in Canada when it comes to.
Do we have a link? Can we post a link for
Yeah,
the
we'll post some links. I'll do that. It's on the Legislative Assembly of Alberta's website. Props to Alberta for actually believing that somebody, can recover, and we can't lose sight of that. And there's some dark shit going on. There's some real dark shit going on, and that addiction, the response to overdoses in addiction healthcare, and big pharma is making a lot of money, with the hopes of like Safe Supply. Really, there's only 100 people in the Netherlands on Safe Supply, and every one of them has a psychologist, a psychiatrist. They want to put 12,000 British Columbians on Safe Supply. Anyway, 12,000.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked around this. I have theories and ideas of where its place is. I mean, 12,000 people. Come on, like that's just lazy. Like, and then my first question was like, when they're having these hearings, is okay, like they got evidence of Safe Supply, but what if we haven't actually used Safe Supply? What evidence is there? And then I thought, well, that's what methadone was when it was first introduced. That's what Suboxone became. It was the alternative, or the legitimate substitute for opioids. And
that's off the books now. They don't even want that.
But it's not even talked about anymore as a failed attempt. It's just like the narrative is just like now how it's used and where it's used now. And I mean, that's a replacement. Like, that's a clean replacement for the fentanyl and other toxic drugs that's killing people. So what happened to that? How come that didn't work? The numbers still kept going up.
According to the physicians and the scientists that were on this in this hearing, all have said there is no evidence that the Canadian model of decriminalization and the Canadian model of Safe Supply is evidence-based, unless you're on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, it's the Holy Grail.
Does this mean we're also looking forward to 3-4 years from now, the next series of narcos is like Canadian government officials making their way down to Mexico, checking out the opium fields to see what kind of heroin we're bringing back to the country? These
doctors are not going to bend. They're like, they took an oath. And okay, we got to end it and go to the show. So here's the thing. The hearings have two sides: for Safe Supply, against Safe Supply, whatever you want to call it. It was supposed to be an open dialogue about Safe Supply. The people that are really examining this have like doctors, investigative reporters, scientists, people that are in favor of Safe Supply, beer companies for the purpose of Safe Supply. Like, it's so insulting. It's so insulting. It's like, come on. Your beer companies, like, give me I don't know what they're called. I mean, I'm not even going to give the respect to Google them. It's like, your beer companies, like, get the heck out of here. Anyway, that's my rant for the day. Beer companies at a hearing about Safe Supply. Get in your own lane. Get in your own lane. You're listening to Talk Recovery Radio. I hope you like what you hear. We talk about recovery and addiction issues because Darren and I have both been on the other side of the door, wishing for somebody to help us get the hell out of there. And so, yeah, I listened to these hearings. It was a big deal. But we talk about recovery issues every Thursday, and we're powered by New West Recovery. If you're watching us on YouTube, click subscribe. If you're following us on Facebook, give us a like and a share. And also, you can replay us on all your favorite streams. Jordan at lastdoor.org. He is our show coordinator. He gets all our guests. If you have a personal story, you wrote a book, or you have something to talk about that has to do with addiction recovery, send Jordan at lastdoor.org an email and he'll get you something. And we're happy to bring on our first guest. And Darren, could you please introduce to us, who are we talking recovery with today?
Yeah, we're talking recovery with Harriet Hunter, author of Miracles of Recovery, Daily Meditations of Hope, Courage, and Faith, asking questions like, how do we maintain sobriety against the odds? What does it take to maintain the course? All these questions and more answered in this 365 daily inspiration book that Harriet's written. Welcome to the show, Harriet.
Well, thank you. Thank you. You sound like you've read it.
Well, I mean, I'm excited to read it. I've always appreciated, the daily meditation to sort of begin the day and reflect on something, get some new idea in the mind, right?
Sure.
Set it off. Now,
sure.
That being said, like how is this book? How did you write this book to make it a little bit different from other meditation books? Let's start with that question.
Well, I tell you, the book is dedicated really to my daughter. I lost my daughter at the time that I wrote this. Okay. So I took an RV and my 2 dogs, and I went out west and had 7 weeks actually of being out west with the dogs. And we'd park it at night, of course, and I'd start writing because I was feeling and I had to do something with these emotions. So I started coming up with different topics, fear of being me, fear of being alone, the grace and the gift of change, half measures, we hear all the time about half measures. And so it just kind of evolved. And I remember I called my mother and I said, I think I've got a book here. I wrote, of course, on each of the steps because my sobriety, I grew up in the rooms in AA. And it just really took on a life of its own. And I talked to a friend who had just happened to be a writer and said, oh my goodness, you really need to continue this. So it became a bestseller in ACA and on Amazon and ACA. And then I started winning awards. So I won 3 awards actually, but the biggest one is a gold medal for an international award.
That's excellent. Good for you. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Miracles of Recovery was written not just for those addicted, but for the parents, the spouse, anyone touched by the disease, which is, really nice to hear because so many of those books are for, the addict in their recovery. Obviously that, to me, that differs from, different meditation books that I've read. Touched by the disease. How were you touched by the disease?
Well, I was insane most of my life. I ran away from home at 17 and was on the streets, and really for the next 30 years, it was one big blur. I went in and out of school and I tried this and tried that. And I had all these grandiose ideas, but at the end of the day, man, they all took me back to my drug of choice. And of course to alcohol, which was always on the table.
Right.
So I really didn't anything. I was lucky I could hold a job. That was the significant thing that I did. You know, you got to hold that job, man, because you don't want people to know what a wreck you are.
That's right. You got to protect all the damage and unmanageability going on.
Oh, so
is there daily meditation on that idea?
Oh yeah, there is. There is. Yep, you betcha.
How do you write? Like you explained sort of just writing under topics, not really in mind, as a day-to-day, book on your journey in the RV. But when you sort of decided to do that, like, how do you base it on certain events, or is it just, start at January 1 and write your daily meditation and that goes there and then on to the next day? How does that work for you as the author?
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I had a huge 3-ring spiral notebook, 3-ring notebook with all of the pages. It was a mishigash of papers and thoughts.
Yeah.
So when I was done, I would take the best of 2. Let's say I wrote about fear. So I took all of the fear, put them together, and threw out the duplicates. And then I try to mix each month, if you will, Justin, or Darren, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I try to take each month and make sure that I had step 1 in January, step 2 in February, of course. And then the different topics, I had to separate them out so they weren't all in the same month,
Yeah.
But
well, that's an interesting concept. I hadn't thought about that. There's obviously 12 months and 12 steps. If that's, what other
that
authors
worked out
have done.
good.
I always attach myself and to events or dates that have important in my life and kind of find, see the coincidence or whatnot in those days, right? But I've never really considered, is the month of January a step 1 theme? So that's interesting.
Yeah. It almost was a perfect idea, but I got kind of lost because November is gratitude month. So that's where my focus shifted to. And I had a lot of writings on gratitude. So yeah.
Okay.
But
I didn't know that. Giuseppe, did you know that November is a gratitude month?
Every day is a gratitude day for me. So
what a comeback.
There you go. Yes.
Touché.
Yeah, I know my way around. I know my way around the room. So this is exciting. So what is the miracle of recovery? That's something people that just don't know what recovery is. That people think recovery is sober. And we're like, it's not, what is, it's part of it, but what is it?
Well, let me read, if I could, my answer to that, because if I really were smart, I'd have made it page 1, but I made it page 2. So on page 2 of Miracles of Recovery is a page called Miracle of Recovery. And it says, don't leave before your miracle happens. Well, most of us new to recovery hear this and think to ourselves, yeah, right, sure. It's never going to work for me. Overcoming fear and self-doubt while making the decision to seek help is the greatest and the first miracle. Our second miracle is finding our way into the rooms of recovery. Okay. We didn't just fall into recovery, nor was it a roll of the dice. I was a gambler, by the way. Our third miracle is that regardless of how we felt, we sought help and we followed suggestions. Our fourth miracle is the choice that we made to remain clean and sober just for the rest of that day. Those not in recovery ask, well, so what's the big deal? Well, they don't understand that we have a disease of perception, and our inability to stop the thoughts brought about by our stinking thinking seeks to kill us. They will never get it because they don't have it. And until we seek recovery, we don't have it either. We must come to understand how our disease drives us to insanity or death. And this acceptance is our fifth miracle. From here, miracles drop like shooting stars. We hit our knees at night and we thank a power greater than ourselves for doing what we were powerless to do all along, no matter how we tried. Each morning we begin again and ask throughout the day in silent prayer, please help me. We invoke divine energy of our higher power as our minds open to suggestions from others. Tell me that ain't a miracle. Each time we chose to do something different, we became the miracle that we could not be without our higher power. We become part of a fellowship as we move closer to passing through the doorway of our own deliverance. We become co-creators of miracles that transform us one day at a time. Today's meditation is, we don't have to leave before our miracle happens. We don't ever have to leave. Each day we remain clean and sober, we are the miracle we once thought impossible to achieve. And then the quote, because each page has a quote. The quote today from Albert Einstein says, there are only two ways to live your life. One is as though everything is a miracle, and the other is though nothing is a miracle. I love it. So I'm so glad you asked that question of my book, Miracles of Recovery. And here's the shooting star, see?
Yeah. That's wonderful. What a great explanation of that. That was just that was like a good song. You know, it's just, that's hope.
How about in that hope?
That's hope. Yeah, that's hope. That's something that gets you hope, you know, and it's something that, you know, because we get, you know, life happens.
Yeah.
And you're like,
hope, man.
And that's hopeful. There's no rules, there's no instructions, there's no, this is what you have to do. That's the beauty of recovery. It's like, and everyone's trying to fix addiction with a prescription, logic, which is hilarious, logic, like trying to fix addiction with logic. Okay, I spent my rent money on dope and it's like midnight January 1st. You know what I mean? And you want to logically try to get this logical response to my addiction? Are you out of your mind? So that's what and that's beautiful answer, because you know, recovery from addiction is not solvable. You know, with the way we are doing it, it's little increments of hope and positive thinking and positive reinforcement, and it's okay, and just try again.
It is. And you know, I sponsor the women I sponsor with having a little book by their side, or a little notebook in their pocket or their purse, and every single time they do something different, that's a freaking miracle. And I asked them to write it down, man, you know, clean the bed, took a shower, made the bed, you know, it doesn't matter how tiny it is, all of those little teeny tiny things during the day add up to a miracle of self-esteem. You look back at it and say, oh my God, I forgot about that. I did do that.
You know, I moved from Ontario to BC about 18 years ago, and I lived in addiction here for many years. And then I went to rehab, and where I went to rehab, there's this like neighborhood that has these trees called cherry blossoms. And I remember being in rehab, noticing them like it was a new thing. You know what I mean? Like I had never, living in British Columbia, noticed the
Well,
beauty
the
of a
fact
cherry
that you
blossom.
noticed
And
could have
I'm
been
just
a new
sitting
thing.
there and I'm just like, and it was just like the set, like life shows up, and that's what that is. Like the miracle of just like noticing stuff. The only thing I ever really heard was, the birds chirping in the morning when I was, getting home to go to work, that like that I remember, but it just, the smelling of the roses is can be considered for many different forms. And for me, it was that, like with another new guy, it's just like, look at these trees, and like as if they just planted them. No, I've already lived here for a decade, but I was on crack, the whole time.
Right, that's
So I
right.
wasn't looking at cherry blossoms. So
Exactly.
that's really nice. So I have one more question, and then Darren, you can hop on. 1999, I think I read, is when you started your recovery journey.
Right.
What's different today from 1999 to 20, the rooms in 1999, 2022, harm reduction, getting sober? We getting better at it? We getting worse at
Yeah.
it? What do you think?
Man, I'll tell you, I think we're getting lackadaisical on it. It depends. In fact, I'm writing something on that right now, to get in a major magazine. It's interesting. If you're talking about getting sober for the short term, that's a no-brainer. Anybody can stay sober for a day or a two. But if you're talking long-term, change your life and become recreated in something bigger than you, I think we're falling short. We have become a nation of easy out, man, easy out. And in that book, in that page that I wrote about half measures, I talk about that. A buffet is what I did out there. I'll try this because that's what I did. Smoke a little this, a few pills here, drink whatever. Oh, no, I'm not going to do that now. No, I changed my mind, And today, I have a sponsor that still reminds me, you don't know, she'll say, which of the things that you decide you're not going to do is going to be the thing that gets you. Is it the not picking up the phone? Well, I hate picking up the phone. Is it the not going to see a friend, a neighbor, or do something for somebody else? What is it? She said, when you find that out, you can let it go. When you can find the answer out to that, which of that is gonna nip your ass, you can let that go. Otherwise, you gotta do it.
It's so profound, like the conversation that we have with people in recovery, long-term recovery, people that continue recovery even after having gotten it, that change, that new life, that appreciation.
Right.
Because it answers so many of the questions of the problem that's going on in the world, in society, in addiction and attitudes and pandemics and everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And I do believe that it's a process of coming from living for self and then into living for others, right? And you mentioned, we're talking with Harriet Hunter, 20 plus years in recovery, mentioned, sponsees, that means women that you help and support and, do your best to give them time and availability and knowledge and experience. What happens, or what do you think needs to happen more in our clean time to do that, like to get to that spot where helping somebody else is the most important thing, or that thing that's going to give me a new life that I don't yet know of? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I sat in a room with an old timer like me once upon a time, and I heard him say, my name is so-and-so, and my God, my sobriety, and me are the three most important things in my life today. And I mean, a neon sign went off for me, man. A neon sign, and it hasn't stopped, because what he said for me is so true. You know, my higher power, my sobriety, and me. And that's the missing link. Okay. In my humble opinion, the missing link is ourself. We are connected to those three things. And by staying connected to our sobriety, to our higher power, and to living for our highest good, when we can do that, then we are doing it right. You know, but when we let one of those three big things go, we're in trouble.
Well said.
I'm
Great
in trouble.
message. Again, Harriet Hunter. The book is Miracles of Recovery: Daily Meditations of Hope, Courage, and Faith. Thank you so much for like reading that out. I'm definitely on the list. I'm ordering the book. It's just what I need.
I absolutely loved it. I mean, you know, I sit in stakeholder groups and meetings. I've actually kind of sit on less now because I feel these stakeholder groups that are supposed to build unity between harm reduction and recovery actually create bigger silos, because they're here and, you know, it's like, because they're stuck on the idea that recovery means, you know, I go to AA and I'm sober. And I keep telling people, it's like, no, like recovery is having freedom, and recovery is being able to choose what you're going to do that day. And the idea of having somebody, anyway, I'm not going to go down, you know, what goes on there. Your definition is there's no strings attached. You know what I mean? And that's what recovery is. And you know, someone who's not an addict doesn't get the strings that are attached in the response we have to overdoses right now. Someone who is an addict sees the strings that's attached. And you know, world peace, I don't know, man. It's just not gonna happen. I think the states has got an uphill battle. Your overdose rates are crazy right now, and you've got this war between how to fix it. And I just like the idea of, you know, this is recovery, you know, jump on the train and have some hope and so forth. Like we can't, you know, we started off the show, and the reason why that was so needed right now is we started off the show. There's a quote by a doctor who is Canada's leader in safe supply and making sure every Canadian has access to safe supply, prescription drugs. And his quote is, the goal of safe supply is not abstinence, is not recovery, because recovery is not a feasible possibility for people. So why would we make that? And so that's exactly the thing. It's like, can you imagine walking into a cancer hospital and saying, okay, everybody, you're all gonna die. So like, just forget about it. You know what I mean? Here's some pain meds and just, you know, go home, and, you know, we'll give you a little SRO to live in for a little while. Like that would never happen. But it's happening to people who use drugs because of stigma, because that's all we need. Give me a little bit of heroin, 4 walls and a door, and I'm good. So your definition,
or for the alcoholic, it's I'll cut back. You know, we go back to doing and trying and playing all the games we did before we got in here.
And we got to move on to our other guests. We're at the halfway mark here, so we're going to be bringing them in. Harriet, thanks for being on the show. How can somebody buy your book, Harriet?
Oh, bless you. They can buy it from Amazon, or they can get it, what do you call it? Or they could get it autographed from me with a personal little saying, and they'll get a free ebook. And either way, thank you.
Awesome.
And the website is harriethunter.org. So check that out.
Yes, sir.
Book, Miracles of Recovery: Daily Meditations of Hope, Courage, and Faith. Harriet,
so much.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Take care, Harriet.
Guys.
You're listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You're listening to Talk Recovery Radio. We come to you live every Thursday, Vancouver Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5, If you're listening to us on the radio, we're 1 week behind. If you're watching us live, we're on Facebook, YouTube, all that. Please restream, like, share, not restream, subscribe. That's the word I was looking for. So we're in our second half of our show. We got quite a few windows here, so I'm not too sure what's happening. I don't know who Marley is or Michelle. Did I miss a note from Jordan? But I see Nicole's on the show. Hi, Nicole. Oh, you're on mute, Nicole.
There I am.
There you are. So is it just you on the show, or are these other two?
No, it's just me on the show. They're just my support.
Oh, lovely. Okay, well, they can
Yeah.
stay on then. Right on.
Okay,
That's
cool.
never happened before, but that's awesome. Hello, Michelle and Marley in the background. Nicole, welcome to Talk Recovery Radio. You know, by big demand on our social media and by emails, people were asking, hey, whatever happened to your personal stories? Because we talked to a lot of authors of books. And so thanks for, having the courage to share your story on addiction recovery. And where are you logging in from, Nicole?
Calgary.
You're in Calgary, Alberta. Ooh,
Yeah.
we started the show off about Alberta today with
Oh, really?
their hearings that are going on, and your province is making a lot of waves in the addiction response, recovery response. So I'm not sure if you're
awesome.
tuned to it. So what? So you're in Calgary, but you moved around. It looks like with your addiction, you moved around. So tell us a little bit on what it was like before you found the rooms of recovery.
Well, I mean, when I was in my addiction, it was awful. It was lonely. It was sad. It was broken. I was lost. Like, I just didn't know. I didn't care if I lived or died, to be very honest. And I tried on more than one occasion to just end it all. I lost hope. Addiction or drugs were supposed to be fun when I started. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to be excluded from stuff. I wanted to be the life of the party like everybody else, or so it seemed. And then addiction really grabbed a hold of me, and it became a matter of survival. And that's the honest truth. It was either be so low that I wanted to die, or keep getting high because it was the only thing that made me feel a little bit of something in regards to not feeling pain and everything. Like, it was kind of a weird catch-22 idea. So yeah, and it took a lot of, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm reading a bit of your bio, and you have a relationship. It seems to have gone bad, and you're a mom with kids, and the fact that you're in recovery now, I look at this sentence, I'm like, what? It's like you do a little bit of cocaine and you become a heroin addict. You know what I mean? Like, and you're already a mom, and you've already been, like, you're later in life, you're in your 30s, so how do you go from making pancakes to doing cocaine to being a heroin addict?
I know it was quite the jump.
I know how. How do you?
Okay, so yeah, I thought I had a pretty normal life. I had a really good upbringing. I rode horses and all that stuff. Then I got married, had 2 beautiful boys. It was a very mentally abusive and controlling relationship. So even though I was in love, I put up with a lot. I thought it was normal. I thought what was happening to me was normal. And then I started going to counseling and realized that it was abuse. It just wasn't physical abuse like I was used to seeing and everything. So it took about a year after counseling that I finally got the courage up to leave. And when I left, I felt free for the first time. So then I started to really party, because I'm sure I had an addiction to alcohol before, but it never really got in the way of anything, right? And so when I went to and experienced this freedom and got offered cocaine for the first time, my kids were never with me. Whenever, I'm just sorry, I have to give 1 second. My dogs just came in the room. I have to kick them out. Oh. So sorry.
No problem.
Okay. So Yeah, so then I tried it, and I'm not the type of person, I've never been the type of person who can say no, or one is okay, and that's good. Like when I drank, it was to black out. And so cocaine was kind of the same idea. It was good. Then I started dating somebody who was a very experienced drug addict. They were addicted to heroin for 14 years before I met them. And I'd go to a party and everybody would be in the bedroom getting high. And I would be the only one in the living room because I didn't do that stuff, right? And then, you know, I was the type of person I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be included. And if they're all doing it and they're fine, then maybe it's okay for me to do it too, and I'd be okay. So then it was like, well, I want to try that because it was morphine. So that's a pill from a doctor. That seems safe. But it was like injecting it right away, right? And then it was the next time, oh, it's all they have is heroin. Well, I'll try it. Everybody else is doing it. So within that 6-week period of being introduced to cocaine and starting to date somebody who was doing it, and then being offered it, and then I was hooked. Addictive personality, I was right in there. Plus it's heroin, like it's super addicting. And then from there, 6 months later, I'd lost everything. So yeah, that's how that happened.
You know, a question a lot of us answer, you know, especially from the ignorant society, you know, how could you as a mother? Yep. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you know, you're in a rough relationship, you're finally out, like, you know, let yourself go a little bit, but heroin, cocaine, you know what I mean? So
100%.
Like a little, you know, now looking back, like what was the tension that required just anything, you know, as far as substances go, that you relate to? Like, was it tension from the relationship? Was it trauma? Was it shame for like leaving your kids with, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Do you have some insight around like what was going on at the time?
Like a lot of it had to do with that freedom from being controlled for like 7.5 years, right? Like my ex, from day one, I ended up losing all my friends from just being with him, right? And then like, even when we planned to get pregnant for the first time, I said something wrong and he told me to get an abortion. Like, you know, like it was very volatile, very fast. And I just wanted to be loved. I just wanted to fit in, be included, and be loved. And then when I finally got that strength to leave, and people are telling me you shouldn't be hanging out with this person, and it's like, no, I get to choose now. I don't have to listen to anybody. So that, I think, had played like a really huge part. Now, the reason why I stayed, I think, longer, like, and because I after the 6 months and I lost everything, lost my kids, everything, then it became about shame and guilt and regret, right? And so now it's, I will do anything to numb the fact that I did walk away from my kids. So even though I signed over custody because I was addicted and I didn't want my kids to ever see that, and I knew I wasn't going to quit. I knew I wasn't ready to, even though it had only been 6 months of doing drugs. It was the fact that I did that in the first place. I signed them over to their dad. And so, you know, I grew up in a very small town in Golden, BC. So that's where my addiction started. That's where my kids still live with their dad. I still haven't seen them, but I destroyed a lot there because of my active addiction, right? So then it just kept piling on. It was the loss of the kids. It was the shame I felt around my family for being this way, to my friends that I had for years that I lost because of it. Not being able to go into any store downtown because I got caught stealing in every single one of them, to the point where like we got raided. We lived across the street from one of the schools and we got raided. And like, you know, everybody knew the town is too small. It's not the city. It's not, you can't hide what you just did.
Everybody knows what's going on with the Joneses. I want to just ask you a question here, because you brought up something that's very important for so many women out there that are contemplating going to rehab, contemplating not going to rehab, leaving rehab because they don't want to lose access to their kids. And
Yeah.
so you have given your custody
Yeah.
to the dad, and it sounds like there's no co-parenting going on
No.
right now. So what do you say to a mom out there that's in, like, have you resolved this and just become okay with it? Without getting into the court battles and all that, like, how are you staying sober today? Because this is a reason so many moms don't get sober or
Yeah.
return back to you. So what is it that you're doing today, and what advice do you give other moms that may be in this position right now?
Yeah, for sure. So my big thing right now, and as hard as this is, because I say I'm happy for the first time in a very long time, but I'm still missing two important ingredients to my life being perfect, and that's my boys, Caden and Grayson. But the truth that I keep telling myself is that even though it's hard because I don't have any contact, and I have started some court stuff, but it's slow going because of all the stuff I've done wrong, right? So I get that. I want my boys to be protected at all costs. So, as depressing as that is, and how lost that can make you feel, the truth of the matter is, maybe one day they're going to want to know my story. And if I start using, then I will never get the opportunity to share it with them. Right? So, I stay sober for the sole purpose of one day. Right? Like one day, whether it's tomorrow or 20 years down the road, one day there's a good chance it may never happen, but on that off chance that it does, I want to be ready. I want to be strong. And I want to show them that, yeah, I've been to the depths of hell, but I climbed myself back out. And I promised myself that I would always stay sober to get that chance if it ever came up. So I mean, I think that's what every mom needs to realize.
That's what that's pretty powerful. I mean, it just shows the selfless part of recovery. I mean, a self-centered person would be like, it's my kids, I want my kids, I deserve my kids, doesn't matter if I'm sober or using, it's my, that attitude to like, hey, I got some mending to do here, and responsibilities and accountability, grown-up stuff, like real life stuff. And I'm Uncle G to a couple of young kids, and I mean, I'm not the parent, and I don't want to say my relationship with these two is, like, you're the mom, right? So I get that, but I can just imagine how hard it is to not be able to have them or see them, but know that you're doing the right thing. And so, to whoever your support group is, that's for those tuning in, that's listening in on the other two little windows here, keep that support group around. That's pretty good advice. Because if you're not well, it's not going to sort itself out.
Yeah, exactly. And then they'll just keep, if I go back to that lost person, then everything they've been told about me is still true, right? Everything, she's never going to get clean, she's always going to be a junkie, like whatever else they've been told in their little young lives is true. And I want them to remember the before me addiction, like where we were really close, and then the one day when they see me, they'll never have seen that middle part, where the addiction had really almost killed me. They're gonna just know that I did the work, I'm doing the work.
And just Darren can probably attest to this as well. I've been around for a bit, and I've heard some horror stories of mom and dad and kid relationships, and in that moment you're like, oh my God, and then like a decade later, it's like it never happened, and like Christmas dinners, and everyone's a happy family unit. Some aren't, but there's co-parenting involved, and you keep doing the next right thing. It might take a year, it might take 2 years, but eventually kids grow up with memories. And so, do you want to be known as the one that caused shit, or do you want to be known as the one that tried to repair and mend the relationship? And kids will remember that. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. Darren, you've
Thank
done
you.
alumni groups, and you've Darren's the counselor guy on this panel, not me.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's in my own story as well.
Oh yeah.
You
Oh
know,
my God. Yeah.
I'm in my 16th year of recovery. My daughter's, 25, and so she, was involved in the mess. I mean, it was only but a couple of months ago, we were just having one of those conversations, right? And she was talking about like how much she had felt like a burden as a kid, and I said straight up, in the way I was living, you were.
Yeah.
You were. And it was like, I shouldn't say this. This shouldn't, I should just say, no, you meant everything. But the truth is, when you're in addiction, it's, yeah, I mean, we're making the choice. The priority is using, the priority is drugs. And in that mindset, it's, it's the only thing to do, but to like, yeah, here, you take them. And,
Yeah.
and that might look like to everybody else, like you've given up or you're being irresponsible. But let's see what happens when if the person tries to get clean, tries recovery. What do they do then? Right? Like Giuseppe was pointing out, like, turn it into a gong show because your own guilt, to fight for them back and provide what? I get it. And it's like, it's so hard as the person feeling guilty to acknowledge that I'm doing the right thing, that I'm on the right path, right? That this time that's taking place is for the greater good, if you will, right? And I applaud your support and the people around you that are like encouraging that and walking the journey with you, because it's hard to do all by yourself, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
It's so hard to know what we're doing is right and the right thing and the best for them. And yeah, I can definitely relate. I guess in the topic of treatment, and it says here that like, you've been to treatment, whether it worked or didn't, or you were working or you weren't working, your story was that you found the rooms of NA. And I mean, for me, it was almost impossible to just walk into a room and start my recovery. I always had to end up in rehab. You know what I mean? Like the enforcement, the accountability, this is what you got to do. What was it that allowed you to stay clean in the rooms? Was it like your willingness? Was it your bottom? Was it your, like, what was that?
I think it was feeling like I wasn't alone, like-minded individuals who had done the same thing, if not worse, or not as bad, but there was never any judgment. And in like when I tried rehab, I went to Vancouver for it. And like I allowed myself to try to fit in there and try to build myself around who those people were. You know what I mean? Like, and even though they were all in the same place, there was people who kept leaving to go use and then come back. And I was like, well, I used any excuse I could. And I'm like, this is not for me. Whereas in NA, it's open door. You either want to be here or you don't, but if you're going to be here, you got to be clean. Like you can have 2 hours clean, but you're there, you're not going to walk out and use and come back kind of thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it was just that chance. Plus, I think I was just ready. Like I had stopped my DOC back in January of 2019. So that was a huge deal for me because I was an IV meth user. And plus I have MS. So meth made me feel a little bit normal. Okay. And then I had quit that. And then I wanted to start working at the court process to get my boys back. And the guy I talked to, like a lawyer, he's like, well, you need to have proof that you're doing something because you're not you're not in a rehab or anything. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll check out some stuff. And then the minute I walked into that first NA meeting, it was just instant weight off my chest. I was like, I can do this. I can stay where I'm living. I can be with my boyfriend. I can still have all of my pets. I don't have to give anything up. You know what I mean? I can just do the work, commit to the program, quit the drinking, and be proud of being sober. And I think that's why it worked for me, is just that fact of feeling accepted, but not having to change who I was. I didn't have to lie about any part of who I was. They would just take me in as I was. So that was really big for me.
Yeah, I appreciate the honesty, because I never looked at the rooms as like a solution to my problems. I went because it would get so-and-so off my back, or it would, I could get this, statement signed, or whatever it is. I miss that like really what it's there for. I mean, in the sense of like inclusion and, providing hope and an alternative to treatment center too. You don't want to have to do that.
Like, that's huge. Not having to leave that was huge for me.
Yeah.
Getting to just be in the same home, figure out my shit. And the more I kept going, and then of course, like, COVID happens and everything gets shut down.
Yeah.
You get to, zoom it up, and I'm still included, and people are still messaging to make sure I'm doing okay.
It's all about getting connected and getting connected with people that are going to inspire you to change. Thank you so much for your courage. Talking about things a lot of moms don't talk about. They don't want. And I always say, if we all talked about what was going on, we'd all realize that we all have issues, and it's okay. And it's okay to ask for help. And you're not the only mom out there that's having problems at home. And
exactly.
And there's a lot of unity in our stories. And so, you helped someone today, and just reassures other moms that it will get better, and you can stay sober no matter what. You can stay sober if you don't have your kids today, and it just means you have some work to do, and have some faith that it will work out. So you're listening to Talk Recovery Radio. Big event on Monday. If you're in the Vancouver area, come check us out. It's called Chosen Family Fest. It's at the Vancouver Art Gallery. Starts at 10:30 a.m. till 3 p.m. Art Gallery. We got a kids zone, a drag show. We got an hour panel of lived experience, recovery stories, and lots of other entertainment, and a circus, and just all that kind of stuff. So come check that out. We're also going to be relaunching Better App on Monday. Big announcement going on for that. So Nicole, if you want to download the new version, go in your app store and search for Better App My Recovery. Better App My Recovery on your app store. It's on Android, it's on iOS. You can do step work on there. You can Zoom your meetings, not Zoom your meetings, wrong word. You can stream your home groups, recovery plans, lots of stuff on there. So please support Better App. This show is brought to you by New West Recovery. And Nicole, good luck with everything. I hope you have some healing in the family and co-parenting. Darren, always good to see you. I'll see you Monday, Darren, with the kids.
Absolutely. I'm there.
Okay, awesome. We'll see you Monday. Take care, everybody. And to Nicole's fan base that's in the show, which has never happened before, Michelle and Marley, thank you very much.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, she brings her support group to her radio show. I love it.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Bye.